Hello there. Welcome to the 35th episode of the SPS podcast. We've been on a little bit of a break because I had COVID pretty hard for about 2.5, 3 weeks, and I'm finally back at it, and I'm excited. I'm pumped. I got a couple of guests coming up very soon in December and in early January. But before we get into other deep dives with other guests, I want to go over 22 of the most important lessons 2022 taught me. So let's get into it. Let the credits roll. Welcome to the SPS podcast, the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. Unlocking the secrets to success and unlocking the secrets to self-performance so you can improve mentally, emotionally, and physically. The SPS podcast is brought to you by the Pro Accelerator program, helping business owners and business leaders save at least 10 working hours a week, improve their focus, and make more money. If that sounds like something you're interested in, check out the show notes and follow the links. But let's now jump into this episode. Hello, and welcome to the episode. 22 powerful self-performance lessons 2022 taught me. Yes, as I mentioned in the intro, I spent the last number of weeks dealing with COVID. It hit me hard, but I have had the opportunity to review my journal, starting to look back at my quarters. I review each of my quarters, so it's not like I went all the way back and reviewed January in December, because that would be stupid. I review my quarters, and I was looking at the key lessons that I pulled out of each quarter, and I actually keep a list of key lessons in a Notion document, and I have a lot more than 22, but I decided to pull out one from each month, roughly from each month, but the lessons that kept repeating over the year that I really felt like I should learn, and I wanted to talk about them in this episode. But before we get into each of these 22 lessons, which I'm going to bang through pretty quickly, because if I didn't bang through them quickly, we'd probably be here all day. It'd be like a 2-hour long episode. But yeah, before we do, let me jump in and share a quote, like I do for every episode, a quote that is framing everything we've talking about. And this one comes from Ralph. COVID's still killing me. I'm still not speaking properly. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this: "Life is a succession of lessons which must be lived to be understood. All is a riddle, and the key to the riddle is another riddle." I love this quote because only you can answer the unanswerable riddle of your life. And the only way that you can answer that riddle is by reviewing your lessons, taking notes of what you've learned, and really understanding that in your journal, having conversations, writing about it, talking about it, making podcasts about it. The only way you're going to solve the riddle is by talking about the riddle, trying to solve other riddles, and then eventually maybe you will solve the riddle. Who knows? But I love that quote. I just find it funny. It's humorous to me that to solve a riddle, you've got to, answer another riddle. It's riddle after riddle after riddle. But anyway, with that said, and with that quote to frame our conversation, let's jump into these 22 lessons. And some of them you may have heard me discuss in other podcasts, but let's bang into them. Let's go through them. And they are lessons that have expanded on some of my key foundations and pillars as well. So you probably have heard me discuss some of these ideas before. If you're a first-time listener, hello and welcome, and prepare to get your mind blown by 22 fantastic lessons. Yes. Number 1, the first lesson that 2022 really taught me was your progress speeds up when you do less dumb shit. The dumb shit that is slowing you down mentally and emotionally and physically is holding you back. Yeah. Talked about this before. It's a big part of my coaching. It's a big part of what I talk about. Your progress speeds up the less negative habits, the less negative self-talk, the less dumb shit that you do. This lesson, it frames my entire year. It's much easier to progress in life and business by simply avoiding the negative habits that slow you down. It's facts, complete facts. Doing less dumb shit has also impacted my one-on-one coaching clients, with a lot of them finding this framing very effective for improving results. Because a lot of the times when we're looking to improve, and this is a big trap of personal development, which I've talked about before and I've discussed, but a big trap of personal development is to optimize, is to add new habits, is to do new things because we feel like we're doing something wrong and we have to do new things to improve. But actually, it's the removal. It's doing less, but at a higher level of quality. That's how you actually progress in life. 90% of the personal development industry, or the shallow surface level of the personal development success industry, doesn't really touch on that. It's what you stop doing that actually has the most impact on your life. And that's a lesson that I will probably talk about every year, every month, every week, every day of my life, because it is one of the most important fundamental lessons of self-actualization, self-improvement, of business development, of business skilling, whatever it is you're doing, whatever you're talking about, whether it's personal development, success, development, business development, improving your teamwork, improving your leadership skills, your communication, less at a higher quality is always going to be the answer. So I'll spend a little bit more time on this first lesson, but the rest of these lessons I'm going to bang through pretty quickly because, again, if I spoke in depth with every lesson, we'd be here for a 3-hour-long podcast, be like Joe Rogan, but me just interviewing myself. So let's keep moving. Number 2, with momentum, you constantly expand into more freedom of time, money, relationship, and purpose. I'll repeat that one because it's very important. With momentum, you will constantly expand into more freedom of time, money, relationship, and purpose. Now, I will put all of these in the show notes below, so you'll get all these lessons. But this one, number 2, you already have all of those freedoms. You're already expanding your freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationship, freedom of purpose. You already have a base level of that. But you often forget how good you have it in the chase to achieve more. When you focus on the momentum and building the momentum and constantly expanding, and you ignore the chase, you ignore going after the sunset, and you actually think about what you've got and you're expanding from that with your daily habits, you will naturally get to your goals faster. It just works. Focus on the momentum, focus on the micro habits, stop chasing sunsets. That's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. 80% of what you're doing today is holding you back from your next leap forward. This goes back to number 1 about dumb shit. But it's more than that. It's more. It's so pervasive, this idea, in my mind. It gets really into your brain. It annoys me the first time, I heard this, or annoyed me. Sorry, the first time I heard this, when someone told me 80% of what I'm doing today is holding me back. I was like, surely not. Nah, don't believe it. But it's harsh truth. It is, and it's true. Yes, but one you have to wrap your head around. It is a fact you have to wrap your head around. The majority of your actions each day, mentally, emotionally, and physically, are holding you back. That's the dumb shit you've got to remove. That's the stuff you've got to stop doing. But yeah, big lesson for 2022 for me. 80% of what you're doing is holding you back. And I can tell you I've pushed back on this. And that's why it's a key lesson, because when I hear something that's a fact and I push back on it, I know deep down I need to take action on it. You know what I mean? Anyway, number 4. Your level of success is based on how high your internal deserve levels are. This was a big lesson for me. If you don't think you deserve it, you won't create it, no matter how hard you try. If you feel like you deserve it, it will come to you if you put the effort in. So yeah, if you don't feel like you're going to create success in your life, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to create success. You're always going to be below the line that you think that you should be at. But if you feel like you deserve it and you fundamentally believe that into your core and you put effort into it, you will get it. Now, this is a lesson that I learned at a deeper level this year, because I still felt like that some of my goals were a bit off, and maybe I was basing them on the wrong foundations around deserve levels and other emotional junk, emotional dumb shit. So this was a key lesson for me to wrap my head around and do some journaling about. Number 5, which actually links to number 4. All progress starts by telling the truth about your current situation. All progress starts with the truth. If you're not going to be truthful to yourself about where you are with your deserve levels, with your goals, with your dumb shit, you're not going to make progress forward. Being honest with yourself is essential. This honesty might come from data from your past results. If you look back at your business numbers, it might come from reviewing your journaling. It might come from having super deep, hardcore, open and honest conversations with people in your life. Or it might just come from getting super clear on what you want and where you want to go and who you are, and then you actually understand that a lot of the shit that you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. So that's a big lesson that I've learned, because I definitely feel like this year in particular, there were certain conversations I had to have, certain honest conversations I had to have with people around me and with myself to help me move my life forward. So all progress starts by telling the truth of your current situation. If you can't tell the truth to yourself, you're not going to win. Number 6, your next quantitative leap forward comes from raising the quality of your daily standards, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Again, this kind of links back into dumb shit. The quality of your daily habits will predict the speed of you achieving your results. The better your daily habits, the better your micro habits, the better you are in your day and your weeks, the faster you'll get results. And the faster you can do that, it will dictate how quickly you get them, and also the size of your next quantitative win. So if your daily quality is great, it will equal into large quantitative wins, like money, numbers. That's what happens. High quality equals high numbers at a certain point. Take a look at your daily schedule. Take a look at how you're showing up in your business, in your life, with your family, mentally, emotionally, physically. And if your schedule looks like somebody who's not succeeding, you can start predicting your future, literally. So if your standards aren't there, if your quality isn't there in your days, that quality time with your family, that quality time in your high value work, you're not going to get those large numbers, those large quantitative leaps forward. So your daily schedule can tell you a lot. So you need to raise your standards. Raise your standards, you'll raise your results in life. Number 7, you only risk sorry, I'll start that again. I'm still not speaking properly. COVID again. The COVID, the talking. It's not working well for me. But I'm gonna keep going. We're keeping going here. 7, you only wish for success if you don't have a clear why or a vision. This is a huge lesson, and this is a lesson I probably put into my lesson reviews for every year, because I always feel like I'm getting clearer on who I want to help and who I want to be, and I'm getting clearer on why I'm doing it. It's something you're constantly chipping away at. It's something you're constantly building. And I can say this as well simply. I've never met or worked with anybody who has had tremendous success without having both those areas dialed in. This year has taught me that I needed to revisit and review these areas more often. I feel like I almost need to get deeper in them, just for my business and for my life. Like, I have a good why and I have a very clear vision, but there's something inside me that says, and specifically this year, something inside me said, I need to get deeper and clearer in this. I think I maybe ran on the same vision and the same why for maybe 2 or 3 years up until this year. So like around 2019, 2020, I set these whys and this vision, and time happened really quickly. And next thing you know, you're in 2022, and you're like, hold on a second, have I developed more? Have I grown more? Of course you have. So when you grow, you need to then use that growth to set a better and deeper why. And when you grow, you need to use that growth to set bigger vision and better goals. So yeah, got to constantly come back to these things. So yeah, number 8, the 8th lesson, the big lesson: knowing your high value and high dollar activities means you don't need productivity hacks to complete your work. Yeah, this is a big one. I was a big guy for productivity hacks maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I've really moved away from them. Pompadour technique, batching, all this kind of stuff. You see all these like 10 ways to get more work done in less time, kind of, medium posts, or you see them on Twitter threads quite a lot. But to be fair, when you're dialed in your why, when you're dialed in your vision, and you're removing all the dumb shit, and you know exactly what your high value activities are, high values like meditation, deep conversations, reading, educating yourself, and then your high value activities is basically the stuff that makes you money. If you're dialed in and clear on that, why do you need productivity hacks? That's the question I would throw out to all productivity people listening. You don't need productivity hacks. You might, if you're in corporate, if you're listening to this with a job, that's where productivity hacks still come in, I think, because there is types of work that you do that you don't like doing, so you use time blocking, and batching to help you. But I think as an entrepreneur, you can delegate a lot of that work, or you wouldn't be an entrepreneur in a field of business where your high dollar work is something you don't enjoy doing. Like, my high dollar work is writing content or speaking to clients. I enjoy both of those things. Now, if my high dollar content, I didn't like doing it, I'm probably doing the wrong kind of job. And again, knowing what makes you money and enjoying how you make that money is key to a successful life. So if you don't enjoy making money, maybe you should be in a different career. That's just an idea, just randomly going off. I was trying to keep this tight and get through things really quickly, but I'm wandering. I'm wondering as I'm talking. Yeah, but anyway, coming back to this, I'll reframe it. Why do you need hacks if you know what to work on and what makes you money? When you put your important activities first, life just works better and you don't need the hacks. We'll leave that one there. Number 9. We're hammering on productivity hacks here. Number 9. Productivity hacks are for the work and activities you don't love doing. Maybe it's time to drop or delegate those tasks. That is something I learned this year. Don't like doing certain types of work, hire or hire someone or stop doing them. Hire help, stop doing them. 80% of the work you are doing currently shouldn't be a struggle to you. Now, I'm talking directly to business owners here, entrepreneurs. Again, corporate workers, there might be 50% of the work that you do on a weekly basis you don't love doing, but you love the other 50%, so that's why you're in that job. And that's great. You're getting paid, got a paycheck coming in, fantastic. Keep doing it. But business owners, if a lot of the stuff that you're doing, you don't like doing it, maybe it is time to hire somebody. Maybe it's time to delegate that. Maybe you're in, again, going back to the last point, maybe you're in the wrong industry. These things are good predictors of where you should spend your time. A lot of the one-on-one coaching clients I have, the business owners who have got multiple businesses making 6-7 figures, they get stuck sometimes because they are taking on the basic tasks that they shouldn't be doing, and they get frustrated with their days. And because they're high achievers and they feel like they should do it, but in reality, they don't like doing that work anymore. They've outgrown it. It's at a lower level to where their thinking should be for their business. So they really should have people in there doing that work. And I've actually helped a number of business owners come to that realization, and they've hired VAs or they've hired new team members. And lo and behold, boom, their productivity and their performance goes through the roof because they're no longer focusing on those activities. I've learned that lesson this year myself because I was trying to grow on every platform, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. I dropped Instagram and TikTok, removed them, just completely forgot about them, and all of a sudden my writing content just blew up. I was able to write deeper, longer. It really helped me get focused on what I enjoy doing, and that's writing and creating content around helping people improve their performance mentally, emotionally, and physically, like doing this podcast. This podcast came out of me not doing TikTok and Instagram anymore, and I actually enjoy doing this a lot more than I do doing the video. So there you go. This is my podcast relates to one of my lessons for the year. Very exciting, very exciting. Okay, and moving on to number 10. We probably have to speed this up. I've already probably been talking for about 20 minutes. I don't even know how long. Number 10, productivity is about getting work done efficiently. Performance is about achieving high-level results. Don't mix the two up, okay? So this is something I got wrong this year. Getting a lot of work done, getting a lot of threads out there, getting a lot of content out there, but they weren't getting me the results. Performance is about achieving results. So when I readjusted how I was working and how I was talking and how I was creating my work and focused on the result of getting clients, of helping people win, that's when I saw a big difference this year. I can tell you the first half of my year, I was doing a more generic Twitter threads. Yeah, I was getting likes and followers, but they weren't bringing me in business. And when I switched halfway through the year, I've had a fantastic, for me, back end of 2022 because of my content switch. Because I was focused on the results. What were the results? Getting clients in the door, signing clients, having clients get wins. That's what my results are. My results are based around making other people be successful once they come through my systems. So yeah, that's what I focused on the back half of the year, and it's worked very well for me. Okay, number 11, 10x has very little to do with increasing the quantity of your results, the quantitative, the money, the numbers, and is much more about improving the quality of your outputs. 10x, it's not, Grant Cardone talks about 10x in his book, and it's about going from 1 million to 10 million. No. To do that, you actually have to improve your standards. It's going back to dumb shit. It's going back to a theme that I'm really into this year. But you make huge leaps forward because you improve your standards. You make huge leaps forward because you do less dumb shit. This means less output, but at a higher quality. You might notice that a lot of my lessons are around a very, very similar theme. And that theme is going to help you make more money, save time, and have a better life. And that's doing less dumb shit and then doing more of what makes you money, more that makes your life better at a higher quality. Simple. Number 12, one of my favorite realizations this year. A fool calendar is a fool's calendar. Who wants to be a fool? No one. You need slack and room in your calendar so you can think, you can relax, you can recharge, you can read books, you can, really allow yourself to enjoy your days, because peak results come from peak recovery, and you can't have peak recovery if your calendar is full. Full calendars are for fools. Don't have them. 13. Raising your floor is often... Actually, I'm going to remove the word often here. Raising your floor is more important than hitting new highs. Yeah? How far you fall on your bad days matter. Okay? If your worst days look like your old good days, you know you're making progress. And for me, this is true. 10, 15 years ago, I would have been partying, drinking. This is around Christmas time, 2022, when I'm recording this podcast. I would have probably already been at a whole bunch of different parties. I'd probably be hungover constantly for these next 2 weeks. I'd be going out on Boxing Day to a big party club night. I'd be going out on New Year's Eve for a big party club night. I would be in a haze for 3 or 4 weeks, and they were my just standard days. That's what I used to do. A good day back then would be just me not drinking, me maybe doing a little bit of work. That is just a standard day for me. That's a bad day for me now. Me just journaling for 10 minutes, and that's the only thing I did. It used to be one of my best days, but now that's like one of my worst days. So that 10x leap forward within my own life has happened. My old high, my old ceiling has become my current floor. So that's what you have to focus on in your own life. That's what you have to focus on. It's like, this idea that you've got to hit your personal best every single day. Again, this comes from sort of the sports and personal success has a twist it a little bit. You can't be Lionel Messi or Kylian Mbappe in the final of the World Cup every single day. They can't act like that every single day. They don't show up every day playing at that level. They show up in cycles. They prepare for it. They have their energy levels right, and then boom, they go for it. So, but at the end of the day, that these elite stars and these elite sports players, they have a very high floor. They're not smoking weed or doing drugs or staying up late or eating shitty food or whatever that may be. They're not doing that stuff. And then when it comes to them performing, they're able to hit PBs. So having a high floor is way more important than hitting personal bests. That's just my opinion. It's a lesson. It's an idea that I've learned this year. I spent a little bit of time on it because, again, I'm pushing back against your normal personal development, sort of sports development, the way that people talk about sports quite a lot and use it as a reference in business. And it's always like, how to be more successful, hit those personal bests. No, personal bests are for once or twice or 3 times a year max. The rest of the time, it's about having those really high minimum standards of excellence and having them being really high on a daily basis. Not doing that dumb shit. Anyway, let's move on. 14. Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. I've had some breakdowns this year. I'm not gonna lie. Hitting a wall is good for you if you take the lessons on board. This is a lesson I pulled all the way back from January this year. I had a horrible January. I had an offer that was around procrastination. I think I spoke to about 15 different people plus on a calls on December and January. I had a lot of people book phone calls with me. I thought I was going to have a massive December and January of this past year. And I didn't. I hardly signed a client. I don't think I signed a client in January. I think it was early February. I finally turned things around. It was heartbreaking. It was a breakdown, and that breakdown was a barrier because my offer didn't match my audience, or it was too generic. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I hit that barrier, and back in January when I was in it, I didn't see it as an opportunity, but by mid-February, I saw it as an opportunity. By March, I even saw it as a huge opportunity. Now, sitting here in December, a year later, I'm so effing glad it happened, because I was sick with COVID the last few weeks, as I may have mentioned, but I've still had leads coming into my business because my offer's a lot stronger. Where last year, I had no business in December and no business in January, and I struggled, and the offer didn't match what I was trying to do, and it was all over the place, and I had a breakdown. I was really frustrated with it. I couldn't understand what was going on. And then I've been sick this month, and I've got new business. I've got new clients, got new leads. It's been great. And that all comes from the lessons that I took out of that breakdown earlier this year. If you have to learn from these barriers. But to get better, you have to hit the barriers. You have something to learn, lean into it, look at the barrier, take the lessons. That's how we grow. That's how we grow. Anyway, number 15, big lesson for me. And something that really helped me actually get over this barrier was high hope people are more likely to overcome barriers in their lives and succeed. I truly believe this. I'm like a dog with a bone sometimes. I'm like a dog chasing a car, chasing its own tail, whatever analogy you want to use. The hope that I knew that I had done big things in my past before, that I had succeeded and overcome things, it kicked in January and February of this year. Hope was my fuel. If you can see the benefit of overcoming your obstacles, you will find the motivation to keep going. High hope gives you a positive framing. Everything is about positive framing. I didn't let it beat me. Even though I was frustrated, even though I was having that breakdown and I was, what's going on? I still had that hope. I still knew inside me, I can figure this out. I figured out bigger things. I've done big things in my past. I can figure this out as well. And I did. And I will continue to improve on it. But yeah, high hope people are more likely to overcome barriers. It's just fact. Don't let that hope, don't let that flame inside you die. Do not let that die, because that flame will keep you bright on the darkest of nights. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but yeah. Anyway, number 16, we're getting through it here. We're nearly done. Number 16, those who ignore the compound effect and switch directions every 6 months or less will struggle to create the success they want. This is a reminder that I had. Again, this one comes from earlier this year. There were opportunities that came up for me this year around helping people with Twitter growth or doing slightly different things with, that weren't really based around what I wanted to do, business opportunities. And I could have switched. I could have pivoted, but I didn't. I didn't do that because everything takes longer than you think it will. If you don't commit, you won't win. When you start, expect results to come in maybe 6 months plus or a year. That it's going to take longer. So when I was at my lowest point this year, when I was struggling, when I was in that breakdown, I had an opportunity maybe to do things differently. There was some Twitter growth ideas, which I don't really focus on. I don't really want to do it. It's not my business. I love working one-on-one with people. I might bring a group cohort in at some point, maybe next year in 2023. But I love working one-on-one with people. I love that. Helping them with their self-performance. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm doing this. So to split off and have my attention going off in different things, I kind of had that feeling like, if I do this, am I then changing directions and building a bridge to an island I don't even want to travel to? I'm changing direction on my GPS. Am I like that meme, the two guys in the mine where the top guy's walking away with the pickaxe over his shoulder where there's a diamond just a few inches next to him, and then the guy below is still hammering away, getting to his stuff. I almost felt like that meme. So that's where the compound effect kicks in. If you stick with the barriers, if you stick with the dark times when you're at your lowest, rather than switching gears and being like, I'm going to stop being a success coach or one-on-one coach, and I'm going to go and help people grow on Twitter or grow on LinkedIn, or you're going to switch over and do some different type of content, whatever that is. What you're doing is you're basically giving the middle finger to the compound effect. Because the compound effect takes time to kick in. And again, the back end of this year, I felt that by sticking with it, by not giving up, by being a dog with a bone, by just chewing down on it, that compound has kicked in. So it's a big lesson for me. Okay. Number 17, 99% of the changes you need to make require adapting your behavior and emotions. But 90% of the time, you will attempt to make that change with hacks, shortcuts, and half-baked strategies before realizing it was an internal shift that was needed after all. I am a big, I don't know, I've made this mistake so many times where rather than actually digging deep with the emotions, rather than actually digging deep and going into my journal, I've been like, what strategy can I get here? What course can I buy? What book can I read? It's really getting really deep and honest with yourself and actually realizing you've got to change your behaviors. You've got to improve your standards. And I think a lot, again, we're hammering on the personal development industry here, on the normal sort of success industry. I think it's so predicated on doing courses, reading books, and looking for these technical solutions, when underneath it all, the reason why you're not going after things and the reason why you're not where you are is you. It's you. It's how you're showing up mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's what you're doing. It's not a new skill you need to build or a new course you need to go through and complete. It's you. It's you not adapting your behaviors and not adapting your standards. So you're raising them to the level of success that you want to achieve, and that's that's the facts. That's the facts. That's a big lesson I've learned maybe over the last 2 years, especially with being an entrepreneur. But that's a huge one, and I keep bringing it up because I see so many people, even people who hire me, they go straight to the technical stuff. They go straight to the strategies and the courses and the books, rather than actually sitting down and being like, well, do I need to change here? Yeah, you kind of do. That's the answer. Anyway, number 18. Let's go. Nearly done here. Having regular conversations with a future version of yourself who's completed all your goals is an essential journaling exercise. This is a lesson I pulled out from halfway through the year because I actually started talking to my future self. Around about April, I think it was, actually maybe May. I think it was a Joe Dispenza book I read. I can't remember the name of it now, but he talked about having this future version of yourself or this future vision and some of the journaling exercises around that. And you can literally ask yourself, how would I deal with this current situation? You're asking the future version of yourself who's already completed these tasks, already created the millions of dollars, the success, whatever it is in your life, got a lovely house, the great family, the healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. You ask them, well, how did you do that? And the funny thing is, you probably have the answer. Actually, no, you don't. Not probably. You do. You do have it. You know exactly what you have to do. That's the truth. You know exactly what you have to do. If you ask yourself honestly, if you ask a future version of yourself honestly for advice, you'll get really good advice. So if you're not journaling like this, at least quarterly, you're at a disadvantage to those who are. Clarity comes from processing your own thoughts. Get in there, process them, ask yourself big questions. This leads into number 19. A big lesson that I really have tried to solidify this year. It's one of those capabilities, a bit of a platitude, but it's one of those capabilities that you have to do it and believe it to actually really understand it. And that is be, do, have. You already have all you need to succeed within you. You need to act from a place of knowing success is inevitable. You just need to act like it's going to happen. So you're going to take those actions. So you got to ask yourself regularly, if I was who I wanted to be, how would I react to the situation? It's very much like the last question. You're asking yourself quite a lot. How would I, if I already knew what to do, what would I do? And again, I'll repeat this. If you ask yourself, it just is like that. You have all that power inside of you. Anyway, moving on. Number 20, a habit that I have solidified with so much joy this year. I love it. I love it so much. Daily walks are a life-changing habit. That's the lesson. It's the lesson. All areas of life improve when you take time to go for walks. It's just simple facts. If there's one habit I would get everybody to do in life now, it's go for these walks. I used to be sporadic with my walks. I used to go for jogs a bit more often. I would even walk the dog and think that was okay. But this year I really committed early in the year, I think it was early spring, all the way back in March, April, I really committed to going for daily walks. And I can quite honestly say it's life-changing. It has helped me so much mentally, emotionally, and physically this year, really solidifying that as a keystone habit. As I said, I've always done it before. I've had a dog for many years. I used to go out for a lot of jogs 2-3 times a week, doing little 5Ks. But the thinking that happens when you're walking is so far superior to the thinking that happens when you're jogging, in my opinion. And also, I don't really jog. I kind of run because I can't do things slowly. Even I walk fast as well and talk fast. I do everything fast. But yeah, daily walks, elite habit. Anyway, 21. Sound like Drake there for a second. Stop. 21, never chase anything expecting it to fill an emotional hole or change your life because, drum roll please, it won't. And that's a big lesson for me over the last 18 months. Hitting targets or goals doesn't change your life. Doesn't. Might feel good and you might think it's going to change your life. Oh, I've got this X amount of money in the bank now. Oh, life's still the same. It's the habits and standards that you build to get you to those goals that actually change your life. That's the reward. It's like that old saying, the journey is the reward, not the destination. This is true here, that the skills, habits, and abilities that you build to create your success, that's the juice. That's the reward. But I've made the mistake of expecting these results, signing clients, hitting certain monthly revenue numbers, even back when I was working in corporate, hitting certain big 6-figure roles, thinking, hey, I've won. No, I hadn't won, but I had, because of the habits that I built to get me there actually were the reward, but I hadn't really deeply solidified that as a lesson in my life. But this year, it really has hit home, and it's removed a lot of stress for me, because now I know I'm succeeding every day. Now all my goals are verbalized in a way that I succeed at them daily. So I'm moving towards my dream constantly every single day, and that's a big reason. Number 21, not chasing things and expecting them to fill an emotional hole, because it just won't. And then finally, number 22, the biggest lesson. It's not the biggest lesson, it just happened to be the 22nd one, but we'll call it that. We'll make it the biggest lesson. The biggest lesson of 2022 is you have to let go to grow. It's a great lesson. You have to let go to grow. Letting go isn't just about releasing trapped negative emotions or the expectation of results. The key to letting go is to let go of everything. Everything. Good, the bad, the ugly, and the wonderful. Anything that brings you joy, anything that brings you negativity, let go of it. Let your body, let your mind, let your soul learn the lessons, and then let go of it. Now, let go of all of it. Now, the thing that I didn't really understand until this year, reading books by David Hawkins, Letting Go, it was called, Michael Singer, The Way of Surrender, I would hold on to the positive things. I would just hold on, because I thought that's what you did. You want more positive things, you hold on to the positive things, but then you're desiring or attaching to a certain emotion and feeling. When every time you win, it's different. It's not the same. Every success isn't the same. You're not going to get the same feeling. It's going to be different levels. But if you're holding on for it to be the same thing, you're always going to be sad, because the first time you succeed, you put a glamour to it. You have the first client you signed, the first money you made online, the first time you started a business, the first time you sold a business, whatever that is, you have this, you felt so good. Then you think every time you do the same thing after that, it should feel like that, but it's not going to, because you made it into this fantastic thing that happened to you. But you got to let go of that. It was a great thing, but it's ruining all the rest of your things, just like all the negative shit is ruining all the things as well. So we have a tendency to think about letting go of negative, of the anger, of depression, of the negative side of things, but we've got to let go of the good as well, because we're not letting our souls and our minds and our bodies enjoy that lesson. So that's been a massive framing, and you could argue it was the biggest lesson of 2022, and that's why it's at the end. It was a big lesson for me. It's something I'm still learning to do, if I'm being brutally honest, and that's, I am always brutally honest with you guys listening to this, you folks listening to this, and myself. But yeah, you gotta let go to grow. Massive. Yeah. As we get closer to 2023, you still got a couple of weeks here to pull out some great lessons. I would advise everybody listening to this to pull out their key lessons for 2022. Do your 22 for 22. I love this time of year and getting a head start on the new year in December, because when January 1st comes around, I'm already primed. I'm already ready to rock and roll, and I advise you to do the same thing. I'm looking forward to a huge 2023 for you, for me, for everybody listening to this, for everybody in the world. I don't care if you're not listening to this. Billions of people won't hear this, but I wish them a absolutely fantastic 2023. Thank you for being a listener to the SPS podcast. This was episode 35, 22 lessons from 2022. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Stephen Timoney. You can check me out on Twitter at Steve Timoney. That's SteveETimoney. Or you can slide on over to my website, which is stephentimoney.com. StephenTimoney.com. And you can check out my coaching offer. If you like what I'm talking about here, click on the links in the show notes below. The Pro Accelerator, my program to help business leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners save time, make more money, and just become fantastic. If you want a little bit of that in 2023, hit me up. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me talk with my COVID voice, with my COVID getting over it, still not fully back yet. But hey, we've got lots of podcasts coming for you. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you in the next one. Make it a good one. Ta-ra.